Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to a brand new edition of Third Down Thursdays. Now, I know you're used to seeing your bald-headed Coach Bruce on your screen, and I'm sorry he's not here today. The light reflecting off of his head, almost blinding you. But we might have a little bit better of a show tonight. I am the co-host of the Tuesday night show, The Breakdown, Connor Davis, and I will be filling in for Coach Bruce. He asked for a favor, so I'm fulfilling that for him. We're going to talk a little bit about NBA today. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL, my specialty. And then we're going to talk a little bit about sport entertainment, WWE, because I am the most electrifying co-host in sports entertainment. So without further ado, let me introduce my first guest for the first segment of tonight's show, Mr. Jackson Gross. Hey, Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, Connor? How we doing?
I'm good. I know I'm not a Coach Bruce, but I try to make it work.
Hey, you're doing a great job so far, so just keep on cooking. All right. All right, what a start.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, before we go into any more talking, I'd like to actually get into some content because we only have an hour. We have 3 segments, so there's a lot to feel. So let me introduce the first segment of today's show, the Brood News.
Ooh.
What up? You always got to have the sound effects. All right, Jackson. So we are almost a month out, roughly a month out. Last year was May 8th when it was decided from the 2025 NBA MVP. You see, football is always in my mind.
Yeah.
So 24-25 season, NBA is a little different. They call whatever year the person won it. That's the MVP. So we're not talking about the 2024 MVP. It's really confusing. We're talking about the 2025 MVP. I just want to put that out there just in case there is a little bit of a clarity issue. So we're about a month out before it's announced, before it's decided, and it becomes clearer and clearer that there are 2 candidates that stand above the rest. That's Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So, Jackson, I would like to talk a little bit about this, kind of see what you're thinking, because you are very much nonpartisan, because you are a Bucks fan. You write for the Bucks, so you're not really looking forward to Nuggets or Thunder play every week,
Right?
But I'd like to put this out: if Jokic wins this, he could make history. There are only 2 people who have ever won 4 out of the last 5 MVPs other than Jokic. If Jokic wins this one, he makes history, winning his 5th one out of the 6 years. So, do you have anything that you'd like to share? I have a lot written down.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of numbers, so I'm going to try to section it off so it's not too overwhelming. Do you have anything that you would like to discuss before I kind of hit those numbers?
Yeah, no, I think the top two guys you did mention have been 1 and 2 for a majority of the season. Both of them, you look at historically, I think there's only been 2 MVPs that I can think of off the top of my head in NBA history who, have been lower than a top 4 seed. The most recent was Russell Westbrook back in 2017 when he averaged a triple-double for the Thunder as the 7th seed. So both of those guys fit the bill. The Nuggets are the 4 seed right now. OKC is running away with the NBA. They already clinched the Western Conference, 14 and a half games ahead of the Rockets. So those guys fit the bill. You did mention I am a bit of a Bucks fan and obviously the Bucks writer for Brew Hoop. I will say that I feel like Giannis is continually disrespected and always pushed aside as that 3rd guy. But at least between Jokic and Shai, I think there might be a sense of voter fatigue coming in for Jokic. Not that he doesn't deserve it. Jokic deserves an MVP. No doubt about it. He makes that Nuggets team go. Like, as well as they've been playing, they lost to the Bulls without Nikola Jokic. Just saying how valuable he actually is. But I think it's probably going to end up going to Shea this year. He's the new guy. Thunder have reached that next mark of being that true contender in the NBA. So it's probably going to end up going to Shea.
So I have a couple numbers to back that up. To me, it's kind of a flip of a coin because the argument you can make both ways, in my opinion. To me, Jokic should have won, as Jack said, the last 4 straight. You know, there shouldn't have been a conversation with that one he didn't win, but we're not going to talk about that. We're
Joel Embiid.
Yeah. But if we look at it right now, these are the numbers for the two as of today. When you're watching this, the numbers will probably be different. So as of Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, these are the numbers for the two. SGA, he's averaging 32.8 points per game. That's number 1 in the league. 6.3 assists per game, 13th in the league. 5 rebounds, 79th in the league. And 1.7 steals per game, which is 4th in the league. Now you're like, Connor, why are you mentioning the rebound? Like, why is SGA going to have a lot of rebounds? Of course, he's going to be 79th. I mentioned rebounds because of Jokic's stats. Let's look at them. 29.7 points per game. That ranks 3rd in the league. 10.2 assists per game. That's 2nd. 12.8 rebounds per game. That's 3rd. And 1.8 steals per game. That's 3rd. In every single big category, well, blocks is up there too, but the ones we're considering for the MVP race, Jokic is top 3 in all of them. So, you know, that's something you take into consideration, which is why I said the argument could probably go both ways. If we look at it, there's only been, before Jokic this year, 4 times a player has, 5 times, a player has averaged a triple-double. Russell Westbrook has done it 4 times. Oscar Robertson did it once in 1961. If we go back to those years, in 1961 and 1962 season, Oscar Robertson, he went 13, 12, and 11. He did not win that MVP that year. That was Bill Russell's one of Bill Russell's MVPs. So you look at it and you say, okay, well, if it's happened before, precedence has been set, it can happen again to where we see numbers like these, video game numbers, might I add, and they still don't win the most valuable player. You go Russell Westbrook, 2016, 2017, he averages 31, 10, and 10, wins MVP the first time he does that because it's been dang near at that 55 years since somebody averaged triple-double, right? So, of course, they gave it to Russ. Russ did it again in 17, 18, and 20. Did not win either of those years because they were 20-point triple-double performances. And then Jokic now is averaging 29, 12, and 10, which is really close to Russ's and Oscar Robinson's. Even though Oscar Robinson did not win it, Jokic still has a dog in the fight. So, to me, because of these numbers, I'm a very big numbers guy in any sport. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not the biggest. I love college basketball. Not the biggest NBA guy. But what does Nate say? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So when you look at the numbers and they stack up against each other, you can say, okay, well, we're also not taking into consideration shooting percentage and this, that, and the other. But I'd also like to introduce a narrative. SGA, a lot of his points come from where, Jackson?
The free throw line. Yeah, that is the prevailing thought. He's a free throw merchant.
Okay. How does that affect this MVP race?
I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about like free throw baiters winning MVP, like James Harden won an MVP in 2018, the year after Russ. Like, if we're talking about guys who are foul baiters, I don't think that has much of an impact on the race itself necessarily. But I think the bigger narrative, I think a lot of people are looking at is new guy on the block with Shea, and the Thunder are back to the best team in the NBA by 6 games over the Cavs in the East. So I think those are the bigger narratives, at least surrounding Shea versus Jokic.
Well, let me ask you a question. So it's become not super clear, but almost certain that the Thunder's going to win probably 70 games this season or close to it.
If they win out, they'll win 70.
Yes. They'll be close to it regardless. If we look at it, the Thunder probably has one of the best, if not the best depth in the entire NBA. On Jokic's side. The Nuggets, injury-riddled, their depth's a lot worse. So let me ask you this question, Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
The most valuable player is someone that is put on their team and makes the most impact. Right? Can we agree on that? That is just probably like in any sport.
Yeah.
That is probably what the most.
I mean, outside of the NFL always having a quarterback as MVP.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. If we take SGA and Jokic off of the Thunder and Nuggets, which team do you think would be impacted the most?
Oh, if you look at any advanced metric of like the Nuggets net rating with Jokic on and off the floor, I don't have the exact number. It is ridiculously how bad they are when Jokic is not on the floor. So if we're talking about where they are in the NBA, I think the Nuggets are like battling for a play-in spot in the West without Jokic, because I still like Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr. is a good scorer. I don't know who you put at center. Their backup center's 37-year-old or 39-year-old DeAndre Jordan, still hooping. But yeah, if you take Shea off the Thunder, they're still at least a 40 to 50 win team because they still have Case and Wallace. They still have Alex Caruso, who they could throw at point guard if they wanted to. I 100% agree. They're a much, much deeper team. And they have a fantastic front court with Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams. They're just top to bottom, a complete roster.
So let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Okay. We just made this distinction. And in my eyes, based on what we've just talked about, I'd give it to Jokic. But should SGA be punished for having great depth, for having a great team around him?
No, absolutely not. LeBron James won an MVP when he was part of the Big Three Miami Heat. Like, Michael Jordan won MVPs when he had the Bulls as the top seed in the East back in the 90s. So, no, we're not going to punish great players for being on great teams. That's ridiculous. Although I will say, speaking on like the whole idea of like which team would be worse without like their MVP candidate, the Bucks might be a lottery team without Giannis. Good Lord. The team employs Kyle Kuzma as their third scoring option, a 37-year-old Brook Lopez, and Damian Lillard, who now has blood clots, unfortunately. So if we want to go down that road, Giannis wins that part by a landslide.
And I think Giannis is currently third place for the award based on the votes. He won't win it, but he's up there, maybe. We can say that.
He's second in the league in scoring. He's going to have another year averaging 30 plus and shooting 60% from the field. It's going to be a 30-point double-double. Like, he's just ridiculous. He's averaging 30, 11.8, and 6, and has 50 double-doubles this season.
But it's not a triple-double like Jokic.
Yeah.
This would be his first triple-double he's averaged in his entire career, which would quite possibly be the best numbers he's put up in his career. Do we give As far as I'm concerned, Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
he's been the best player in basketball for the past at least 5 years, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, he's been the best offensive player. His defense is god awful. Like,
and that's the only thing that brings him back, right?
yeah, like the two games, because I watched both Bucks versus Nuggets games this year. There were some noticeable, like, he just did not care. Like, there was one play when they were in Milwaukee where he just lets Taurean Prince, who's a good 3-point shooter, just shoot an uncontested corner three. Did not even attempt to get out uncontested. He's been bullied on drives by Brook Lopez and other lesser bigs. So he's been the best offensive player. I don't know if he's been the best player in the league, maybe just by sheer offensive might he has been. But if we're looking at that, I think the combination, and again, I'm going to ride with this, Giannis has probably been one of the best, if not the best player in the league. His only drawback is injuries.
Well, this is the point I want to make. Because SGA is surrounded by such a good team, if you look at the top players in defensive percentage this year, as of today, the first four is all on the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And so now SGA is drowned by these defensive masterminds on the court. And so he can't stand out defensively. But that's another
thing. And he's a good defender. He's not a bad defender at all. He's a really good defender.
Which brings me to this question, Jackson. Is SGA a more rounded basketball player than Jokic is this season?
If you want to throw the defensive component into it, absolutely. Like, outside of just the steals numbers, he's a very solid on-ball defender. He's not going to get beat every single time. He has great length, great size, great lateral movement. And I mean, just like taking a look at the defensive rating in the league itself, OKC by 4 points has the best defensive rating in basketball at 105.9. Bucks are 11th at 112.8, tied with the Grizzlies. And then if I can find them, the Denver Nuggets are 20th. They are a bottom 10 defensive team. And again, you look at their star players. Jamal Murray, not a defender. Michael Porter Jr., not a defender. Jokic, not even close to being a defender. So, again, like I said, Jokic's been best offensive player in the league. But if we're looking at the total player and who's been maybe not necessarily the most valuable, but the most complete player in basketball this season, I think it's got to be Shea.
All right, so if we're playing a laser beam pointed at Earth, and you're going to yell one of these guys, and don't say Iguodala.
Damn it.
If you had to pick who wins the 2025 NBA MVP, let's round it off. Who wins it, Jackson?
I think at the end of the day, regardless of my own personal feelings and my admiration for Giannis, not only as a player, but as a person and being able to have some acute conversations with him, I should show you some of the videos I've taken or audios. Like, he is such an intelligent basketball mind. It's amazing. But overall, I will say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably going to be our MVP. The narrative, the complete player, number one team in the league. I think it all works together for Shai.
Well, Jackson, I appreciate you coming on and doing this segment. I had to fill in for Bruce. But we know that the MVP of the NBA this season might be SGA. But I'll give you the MVP when you're on the road.
Here's to the grown-ups. Your car is now your office, stage, nursery. Sorry. Erie Insurance offers products that lots of other companies don't. That's a big deal. And it's a good deal, too. And with Erie, you get your own independent agent, not a giant corporate call center or some online robot. You meet with a real person, like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call Jeff Ratepney at 464-4544. Go ahead and ask him who wins the 2025 NFL MVP. Enough of basketball. That's not even my my top sport. I want to talk about sports entertainment. So let me bring on a guy whose name might be Cy, so we can talk a little bit about wrestling. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the co-host for the wrestling segment for tonight's show, Mr. Cy Ingersoll.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Cy.
What's up?
Did you enjoy our basketball segment?
That was really good. And you're not like the biggest NBA guy, so that was impressive hearing it from you.
Well, you know, numbers can tell so much of a story.
They really do.
We might not have many numbers to talk about today,
We sure don't.
but we do have sheer script and prediction of what's going to happen this month. WrestleMania 41. It's 2025, Cy. It's interesting because they have it late April. It's the same weekend as Easter. We're going to have a whole Easter break. Well, I am because I'm still in school. Going to have a whole Easter break, go back to my mama, watch some wrestling. So let's talk about WrestleMania 41. But before we do that, let me introduce the second segment of tonight's show. Cy Shenanigans.
Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on now.
All right, Cy. So we have 7 confirmed matches as of, let me make this clear, Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Because when I post these videos, they are going to be after today. And there might be more stuff. It's like this might come out Monday or Tuesday after Raw, and they might confirm another match.
SmackDown's tomorrow, Raw's on Monday.
Exactly.
Stuff can happen.
Stuff can happen. And they probably will. We only have less than 3 weeks left. So
They
they probably will announce matches in the coming shows. So let's talk about what's confirmed. We're not going to predict these matches. We might on a later date. But let's talk about what's
Not what we're
confirmed
here for.
right now. So we have Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, of course, for the Undisputed Championship. And then we have Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins in a triple threat. Gunther and Jay for the World Heavyweight Championship. Io Sky and Bianca Belair for the World Women's Championship. And get this. Oh, wait, excuse me. I think they announced Rhea Ripley is what Tanner also told me. On the website, they said it was just Io and Bianca Belair, but I'm almost certain Rhea's going to get added to it. If not,
she needs to.
It
makes
they haven't
the match more
confirmed it, but she did sign the contract, so something's going to happen there.
That's what I feel like this upcoming Raw is
exactly.
confirmed.
So Tanner said to put her on there as a confirmation because it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So I put her on there. So we have the Women's World Championship, and then we just have the Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. When I saw that, I didn't know the names were like that. When I saw that, I was like, that is crappy. They need to have something to distinguish.
They need to change the name on.
I agree.
Title.
I mean, put heavyweight back on it. Why'd they take it off? Didn't they? When Rhea had it, was it not the Women's World Heavyweight Championship?
It was.
Yeah, I thought so. They should have kept it.
It's weird. Their logic behind it doesn't really stick.
Then we have 2 more matches after those matches. AJ Styles and Logan Paul was confirmed, which was some great work in my opinion when that happened. Great work. I enjoyed
their match. Their match is probably going to be the most underrated match of the whole card.
Oh yeah. And it's not for a belt. A mid-card title would be nice on it, but it's not going to happen.
And that's what makes it more impressive.
And then the last one is going to be, which I can't stand this wrestler, but Kevin Owens and Randy Orton go toe-to-toe in a ring. And those are the 7 confirmed matches. I know it was long-winded in those explaining. But, Cy, because this is your segment, I'm going to let you take control.
All right.
And let's predict some matches. What do you think is happening April 19th and 20th at the end of this month?
All right. So I'm gonna start out with 2 Kevin Owens can wrestler. Thank you. I like that take. But we're gonna start out with two that I feel are relatively obvious. I feel like we're gonna get Naomi versus Jade Cargill, 1-on-1, just straight singles match. As much as I would love there to be a stipulation, i.e., if this match was a street fight, I think it would be great. But I got a gut feeling WWE is gonna drop the ball and it's just gonna be a classic 1-on-1. Maybe the winner of this match gets to be the first number one contender for whether for the women's world heavyweight championship, whether Io retains or whether Rhea wins it or whatever. But I think that's going to happen. I see titles 100% going to be defended. A lot of what I'm seeing is like, oh, it might just be a one-on-one Braun Breaker versus Penta. That's not what I want. I want a fatal four-way. Put Finn Balor in there. Put Dirty Dom in there. Let's let them get 30 minutes. Just let them cook. And then this is why I need your assistance, Mr. Connor Davis.
Okay.
We know LA Knight's going to defend.
Yes,
Okay.
and I did talk to Tanner. Tanner is the WWE buff. If you don't know who that is, that's my twin brother. He gave me a lot of matches that could be on this card. So I agree, Naomi and Jade Cargill, as good as it would be to have a stipulation, we got to think what's going to happen at Backlash. They could run it back at Backlash and have a stipulation.
And that's where a stipulation come into play.
Exactly. So we have to think about that too. What matches are they gonna save for Backlash? It's gonna be the ones with the greatest written rivalries as of once WrestleMania hits.
Yep.
So you said Braun Breaker will defend his title. I agree. Tanner has it as a triple threat: Finn Balor and Penta. That's the most likely scenario. I think
Penta,
Dom
I think Dom gets into play.
I would love a fatal four-way. We don't have one yet. We just don't have one. He was fatal.
He's not wrong. But
you're just throwing crap together and trying to make a soup.
Let's get some heat.
So let's talk about the U.S. title. That's going to be LA Knight. What my brother told me is Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu.
That's what I'm seeing.
So,
but what about Solo?
That's what we were talking about.
What about Solo?
You look at the tag team titles. Are they going to be defended? This seems like a title that's just defended on the weekly shows, right? Are they going to be defended at Mania? Maybe, maybe not.
If it gets defended, it could be on a kickoff show. Like
he said, Solo was injured, so the chances of him it would probably be Fatu, right? That would compete for tag titles.
Absolutely.
The chances of that happening are slim, which is why he put Fatu in the U.S. title match with LA Knight and Braun Strowman. But then we have a match that they've been building. He's injured right now. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. We forgot about that one.
Mm-hmm.
So what could happen with that? I don't think that rivalry is big enough to be a Backlash one.
It's not.
I don't think it will
unless
back at
Backlash. But that's the thing.
Unless they build something in the next 3 weeks.
Exactly. That's the thing with a lot of these possible matches is there's still some time to get some heat on it. Like the Charlotte versus Tiffany, for the longest time, this was the most like yeah. But like Charlotte versus Tiffany is a prime example of like they didn't have enough heat on it till the past couple weeks, and now it's like, okay, now this is a match that I want to see. WWE and their creative in particular, they're weird with how they do things. Like they like to be very, I hate to say it, last minute with a lot of things. So with a Damian versus Drew, what makes the most sense is they're gonna ride off Drew and be like, oh nope, Drew's not gonna compete as much as. Oh Jack, I know. But this Drew versus Damian Priest match, on paper, like a pure one-on-one would be really good, especially on a main, like on a big stage like WrestleMania. The problem is there's not heat behind it. A lot of people, at least everybody loves Drew. They love Drew or hate Drew, but a lot of people don't really like Damian Priest. Ever since he lost the World Heavyweight Champion at the Gunther, he hasn't really done a whole lot. The Judgment Day story, it was there. It was something. It dragged on too long, but I mean, if we want emo Undertaker versus Drew McIntyre to have spawn the card, cool, do it. But I'm not sold on it right now.
This is what I think should have happened. Now, Drew did call him, yeah, he's emo Undertaker, but I think he called him Timu Undertaker whenever
Seen
he
that as
came
well.
into the John and Cody segment.
Mhm.
Wasn't it John? No, it was, excuse me. Sorry, that was Randy and Cody segment, right? That's when Drew popped in.
Yep.
Sorry. People that go on both shows, it's confusing sometimes.
Very.
But you get into the question of where does the women's mid card fit into all of this? And we get into also the conversation of these are also belts that are defended on the weekly shows.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, are they going to get their time to shine on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania?
They should.
I talked to Mr. WWE over there for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. So the most likely scenario is Bayley and Valkyria.
Which, if you know the history behind the two of those wrestlers, makes sense to go on the big stage, but they haven't. They've been pushing Roxanne versus Bayley for months on end now. They haven't really pushed a whole lot of Lyra versus Bayley. So I don't know.
I have an unpopular take. I don't like Roxanne. I don't think she's that great.
Her ring work isn't great. Mike's skills
isn't great. I hate the Roxanne.
She'll have one promo every 6 months that actually is like, okay, there's something here. But everything else, she's weak.
People will glaze women because of their physical appearance. People look at Roxanne, oh, this is a pretty girl. I like watching her on my screen. I love the way she talks on a microphone. I love the way you like the way she looks in a ring. You don't like the way her ring work looks. There's a difference right there, pal. She's not that great to me. So for her to be in one of these matches, I can't see it. I don't know if it's her time. I think she needs a lot more time to develop based on what I'm watching. I don't know if we're watching the same person, Jack, but, that's just my opinion. We go to the other mid-card title. U.S. Championship. Chelsea Green holds it. Who's going to be her opponent? The most likely scenario, the one that Mr. WWE didn't agree with over there, is Chelsea Green and Michin. He said they've already ran it 4 times. Well, let's make it a 4th or 5th, baby. Come on.
What I have another unpopular take for how to get Chelsea Green on the card. What if we get the Piper Niven turn in the next 3 weeks and it's mentor versus mentoree, Chelsea versus Piper Niven? They've been teasing it for a while. I really don't want to see Michin's solid. But they've ran it so much that it's like on a big stage, even if it's like the kickoff match, I don't know if I like it. But I wouldn't hate seeing Piper Niven's not going to win. Chelsea's comedic gold holding this title, and she's actually not a terrible wrestler. But you could do a turn, and people like seeing the turns. But I don't know. Oh, great. What are you going to say?
This is the issue with that side.
I'm listening.
I think it's too early. You have to get into the point WWE is the best. That's why people like them. They are the best at storytelling. Point blank, period. There's not a single company that is better at storytelling than WWE. And that's just facts, right? You get to the point where if you have a long story you have to invest time in, the stories become oversaturated. You're not going to be able to decide which one you want to pay attention to. Correct. So you have Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, the story of Piper turns on her. Then we have another story we have to pay attention to. on top of
Mhm.
Cody and John,
Mhm.
Roman, CM Punk, and Seth. All
Which
the
is
other
main
ones that
eventing.
are-
Which is main
Exactly.
eventing.
Exactly.
Which is giving CM Punk exactly what he
Both
wants.
main events, all that we are having to invest in.
Mhm.
I think it's too early for a Piper turn. And if WWE thinks the same way, then we might not see Chelsea Green at WrestleMania defending her title.
She needs to be on this show somehow. Even if it's just a backstage segment.
And she could. She very well could.
She needs something.
And I like her as a champion. I think her character's great. I mean, it's crazy looking at her. Everyone's like, oh, Chelsea Green, that's the girl that wrestled Penta and Lucha Underground, yada, yada, yada. And now we're seeing like night and day versus that Chelsea Green.
Mhm.
So it's crazy how she goes from this Lucha character in a different promotion to now this prim and proper, doesn't want to be touched, always clean, has someone carrying her so her feet don't touch the ground when she walks. I think it's great in her professional career to say, look, she can play these two types of characters.
Mhm.
It's night and day. A top 5 wrestler.
TV wrestler, like based just off the character alone.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I don't know if I would say top 5.
Okay, give me your top then.
I don't like TV wrestler.
Yeah, the character. That's what we're talking about, right? Yes. As in made for TV character. Yeah, the character. That's what.
I can't give a top 5 off the top of my head.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to rank. Just like name ones that you would think would be better than Chelsea Green. I'm putting you on blast.
Okay, cool. Dominic Mysterio. That's number 1. Argue with the wall. Don't care what you say. Number 2, Rhea Ripley. Again, pure TV character. She's great. What she does is exactly what people need to see. Number 3 is Jey Uso. He's over. His story's kind of fallen flat, but TV character wise, what they want, like if when I think TV character, I look at who I'm looking at more or less baby faces. I'm looking at people who the crowd love. So she's a 3. Jacob Fatu is up there as well, and then you kind of have to say LA Knight, but depending on the week, depends on if he's actually hitting or not. But like Liv Morgan should be up there. You kind of have to put CM Punk up there. Like it's gonna be different regardless who you ask. That's like the coolest thing about like these TV wrestlers is everybody's got their own niche. Everybody's got like they'll like someone more than other people. But those are roughly my 5 or 6.
That's fine. I just want to get your opinion because, like you said, it is very subjective. The way we rank the characters, the way we view them, we're going to favor more. Like, for me, I still really like John Cena's work. I'm going to be honest. I still watch him, and I feel like it's like 2012. Even though he's a different character, it's like I still feel like that again. Yep. So it's great to see it. But Sai, I appreciate you hopping on. We might pull everybody in at the end of the show. But if you missed it, we just predict the non-confirmed matches for WrestleMania 41. If you want to go back, check it out. Scroll about 20 minutes previously. You can go back, watch the whole segment. It'll be quick. But before we get into the last segment with the handsome man with the handsome beard, I'm going to predict something else for you.
Oh, yeah?
And that's good homeowners insurance.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call Jeff Retepney at 704-464-4544, go ahead and ask him who he thinks is the best TV character in WWE. Now, I have no idea if he watches WWE, but just ask him that if you end up using the phone number from this exact point in this video. Now, if you have a go to a different point in the video, you ask that question. I don't make the rules. You have to follow them. Anytime you hear a question after his number, that is the question you must ask him. Do not tell him your name. Tell him that question. But I got another question for you. Are you ready to see the handsome man with the best beard in all of sports podcast history? I'm bringing in a man that knows it all. A man that's coached it all. Mr. Coach Kenny.
What's up, Connor? How's it going?
Hey, Kenny. Do you think that was a good enough introduction for your presence?
I loved it, especially the beard part. Yeah, you like all my jerseys over here?
I know. What are you doing? Are you organizing them all?
We're doing a little spring cleaning in the house, and so I'm going through them and seeing what I got, and kind of making sure that I got everything in the right spot. So,
are you trying to get rid of some?
Well, that's what the wife wants, but no, I'm trying to actually add to the collection. But she's
oh my goodness!
So.
You need like a big walk-in closet where it's just all jerseys on the walls.
I know. I've actually talked to we've got a handyman that comes around the house to help out with some things, and I've talked to him about doing that like in the basement for like my man cave, and he's like, I could probably put like 10 or 15 up on the wall for you, but he's like, you got too many.
So, oh, you want to frame them?
There's a few that I would frame. His idea actually was to like kind of put them on like a rack, and then like you could like slide through and see them, kind of a thing. It was really so like. I don't know if you've ever gone to like if you have like a Spencer's or anything like in the mall, like where they have the posters on the racks and stuff.
Of course.
So it would be something like that where you could like slide through and see them. I was like, that would work if I had like the autographed jerseys ready to go, but like this regular everyday stuff that I'd be wearing, I don't know if that would work for me. But yeah.
But they would still be like close together, and you could kind of flip through them.
Yeah.
Like a photo album almost.
Yeah, essentially it would kind of look like that. It'd be pretty cool in concept, but I don't know how it would actually, function. But yeah.
Well, Coach Kenny, Mr. B, Coach B. I don't know what the kids call you these days, but
all of those assholes sometimes. But
I want to introduce the last segment of tonight's show. It is Coach Kenny's segment. So he will be doing most, and I know he brings a lot of news and written notes to the table. Probably the only other person that does that besides me. So let's introduce the last segment of today's show, Coach's Corner. Even though I'm not a coach, Coach Kenny still pulls all of the credibility to continue this segment.
So, I try. I don't know. We'll see. And Connor, you can coach my defense any day, by the way. We'll bring you up to Chicago.
Are you giving me that honor?
I'd give you a shot for sure.
Shoot.
Because I'm offense oriented, so I might need some help on defense.
No, I definitely am like a defensive type mind. That is like when I play, that's what I'm looking at. Scheming. I'm not good at all. Like I try not to throw the ball if I have to.
I got you.
If you try to put me at quarterback, it will not work.
Yeah.
But for the NFL, there's a couple of new rules that they have established in their annual league meeting of just about everybody in the staff. They met in Palm Beach, Florida, and they're discussing what's going to happen before 2025. They do this every year where they kind of just round out the season, do expectations, see what they want to change in football, what they want to keep the same. And there's an interesting rule that they came up with to do with kickoffs. Now, we saw that the kickoffs actually changed in 2024, then 2023, and it reduced a lot of injury. Now, concussions were a super prevalent thing on kickoffs before. That was the safety thing that they wanted to get rid of. They're trying to make the game safer, and there's a lot of things they're changing. And we could see even more changes to the game with safety in the coming years. But as of right now, the statistic for 2023 to 2024, it dropped 43% for concussions on kickoffs. That's incredible.
It's enormous. Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
like, if they keep continuing to do that and make the game safer, we could see people play like Tom Brady. Like, we could see more Tom Brady's of football.
Absolutely.
People playing until they're 40-something.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept because where a lot of people are, like you're bringing up the safety statistics, but a lot of the statistics I was reading about actually focuses more on returnability in the kickoff. So they noticed I think it was something like a 21 to 25% to, I do hide snacks in my beer, by the way. The concept is that they're promoting it as a more offensive driven way to go about things, which I find interesting because when you start to see those kickoff returns and you try and force the returns back, I think that's where you start to see the injuries. That's why over the years they've gotten rid of certain elements like the wedge, making sure that the touchbacks were going to the 20-yard line to give the offense a fighting shot and stuff like that. So it's interesting the way, Connor, you're bringing up safety, and then the other statistics that they're bringing up is more action for the game. So it's going to be an interesting way that they're going to go about it in the future, but definitely much safer. And I think potential to have bigger returns and bigger plays on that kickoff return.
I'm really glad you brought that up because we haven't really talked about what the rule actually states. We've only really talked about what's going to happen or what's projected to happen. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to bring that up. For the 2025 season, the big rule is that touchbacks are now going to be placed at the 35-yard line. You kick it at the 35-yard line, it gets touched back. The other team's going to get it at the same, not the same spot, but the other side on the 35.
Correct.
As well. But you talk about it's going to bring more action to kickoffs because that was something that was so boring. That is the big complaint that people got is I skipped through kickoffs. You even heard MJ whenever the rule even happened. He said, I don't even watch the kickoff anymore. I missed the first half of the game because I won't sit there and anticipate a football game if I got to watch it start off with the kickoff like that. So now, if we look at the percentages, the kickoff return rate for 2024 was 32.8%. The projected kickoff return rate for 2025 is anywhere between 70 and 75%.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because no defensive coordinator wants to give an extra 15 yards on the beginning of the drive. So that makes it that much more difficult for the defense to take care of the ball, to stop you from crossing the 50. It changes the entire dynamic of a drive defensively if you're giving the offense an extra 15 yards on top of, giving them the initial. I think last year it was the 30, and the years before that it was like the 25 and the 20. So it's getting progressively worse to kick the ball all the way through the end zone, or at least not into the receiving zone, I think is what they call it. So it's going to make it for a much more dynamic, which is what they're calling it, kickoff and kick return.
Which I do. Jackson's in the background. He did ask a question. I do have questions about this. Football's my sport, so this is something I always watch. Kickoff, I've sat down in 30 minutes before a football game to anticipate that game. Like, I have seen kickoffs. I've seen them from last year, and they're not great to watch. To be frank, I didn't anticipate it. I'm with MJ. I didn't anticipate it as much as I used to because I have to watch a kickoff like that. But Jackson raises a good point. Why make it more valuable to take a touchback at the 35? Wouldn't moving it back to the 25 to 20 make returns more valuable? And I get what you're saying, Kenny, about the defense not having to prepare for that extra 10, 15, 20 yards. But if you think about it, 35-yard line, that is great field position for an offensive unit. Like, we're giving offenses a chance to excel for any measure now because they're having an extra 10 yards. I mean, it was 5 yards from last year. We're going to keep inching it up and up and up till eventually they're going to be at the 50-yard line. They're going to be able to throw one pass and be at the end zone. Like, what can you answer these questions, Kenny? Like, all these things that are going through my head right now is this beneficial to the game, or will it just cause it to be an offensive game?
So it depends on which side of the track that you're on with this. the game has been shifting more offensively for probably, I would say, the past 30 years. It's just been shifting more and more offense. You see that with the different types of penalties, the BS targeting calls that I absolutely hate, the pass interference, defensive holding, all these new rules are all designed to engage the offense more. Why? Because the viewership notice, the talking heads notice that viewers go up when there's a high score on the offensive side, and the defense is less and less. They'll sit there and say that it's all safety related, and some of it is. I give them that. But the vast majority is that people like to see, just like in baseball, right? You like to see the home runs. You don't necessarily like to see the no-hitters and the high strikeout games. So you want to see more offense. That's why they're shifting it more and more. I think, to your point, though, I almost think this is the last-ditch effort to keep the kickoff in the game, to keep it part of the traditional game. Otherwise, you might as well just start the offense automatically at the 35 and get rid of the kickoff entirely. If it's truly a safety thing, then that's the way it needs to go.
I definitely agree, because if you look at it, we covered the tush push ban. Go check it out if you haven't seen that video yet. And one of the big things was that I asked Nate, is this going to make the game more competitive if you ban this? And with the new rule if we look at the OT rule, I'd say yes, that makes very much the regular season more competitive, especially if you're 1, 2, 3 games out from the playoffs and you're trying to get that final spot if you don't have a playoff seed clinched. So now we're looking at it as the tush push. If it gets banned, why aren't people getting rewarded for making this play? This should be a play that is being rewarded. This is art in front of our eyes. But now we get into this play and this rule where, is this new kickoff rule going to make more games competitive? Is it going to make the sport competitive, or is it going to be and create this one-sided type of game?
Well, I think that's a good point, and I think what you're going to see, and this is why the NFL thinks that the return rate's going to jump up to 70%, is that the defensive coordinator is going to talk to the special teams coordinator and say, listen, like, I can't afford 15 extra yards. You need to get them into a position where they have to force the return. The amount of big play returns isn't going to be necessarily that much greater than what you already have, but you're going to make sure that you get a play out of the deal. You're going to get contact. You're going to get excitement out of it so that lures the audience back in, right? You say yourself, you don't pay attention as much to the kickoffs anymore. Neither does MJ. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's just a boring play. At least with this, you're getting a more interesting opportunities for your play. The tush push, I completely disagree with. I think that is just because a lot of teams can't figure out how to stop it. And because it's not competitive, if nobody can stop it, that's why they're trying to push this anti-tush push agenda.
Well, then you get into the conversation of this kickoff rule. Usually we see kickers use the kickoff to kind of stretch their legs, to see how far they can kick it. Now we get into the certain variables of this 70 and 75% return rate, because certain things have to happen for a return to happen on a kickoff. Kickers are still going to be able to kick a touchback just as easy as they did last year and the year before that and the year before that. Now we're going to have to teach kickers almost a different game, a different style of play, to where, hey, I don't want you to kick it in the end zone. If you can kick it somewhere between the end zone line and the 10 or the end zone line and the 5, that would be phenomenal. Now we're getting into a type of punting-esque strategy. How does that play into that, Kenny?
So I think right off the bat, they're already doing that in college football. Schools like Ohio State, when Urban Meyer was the head coach, and they were just starting to change the touchback rules in college football, he addressed his special teams as, you need to get the ball to the end zone, but not into the end zone. And that's because if you call a fair catch in college, it'll automatically go to the 25. So his idea was, if we can force the return team to run it out, that gives us a better chance at stopping them before they even get to the 20, let alone the 25. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I think a few teams in college are already implementing these strategies, which will make those kickers more sought after when you get them into the draft situation. And so you're going to see, obviously they're not going to jump up to like the second or third round, but you're going to see kickers are going to become more prominent if they're accurate and less so if they just have a booming leg.
So I brought up that this is almost like a punting-esque strategy. Do you think we're going to see a lot more kind of two-way kickers? Is it going to have somebody? Because if we're talking about sheer accuracy on the football field, I know punting and kicking off a tee are two different things. It's two different ways of kicking the ball. But if somebody's accurate, Kenny, somebody's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So is there going to be a thing of, if you're a great punter, you could possibly be a great kicker in the NFL?
I mean, I think you kind of see that too already. You've seen that definitely in the past where some teams employ just a field goal point after touchdown type kicker, and then the punter is actually the one that does most of the kicking duties for kickoffs, for safeties and stuff like that. So it's a little rare, but I definitely think that that's going to be a potential future in the NFL, especially if accuracy counts, right? If you have to get it within a certain yardage range, if you have to make sure it doesn't go out of bounds, and it has to be returnable, I think you're going to start to see a lot more, like I said, accuracy-based kickers as opposed to, cannon leg kickers, so to speak. I think it's a definite possibility.
And that might be the norm now. You said it's so rare and you're right, there are certain teams that have a punter do kickoffs. I can't even name some teams off the top of my head, but
currently I'm not sure if there are any, but I do know that in the past they've employed systems like that. It may not have even been a punter. I think teams back, a while ago would employ 3 different types of kickers on their team. Not the smartest strategy with only a 53-man roster necessarily, but you do what you have to do in order to win the games. So
it is rare that punters also do kickoffs. I've witnessed this, so I'm going to say that, like, you're right in that statement. But then we get to the point of, is it going to be more prominent? Are this rare thing we see that's so rare, is it going to become the norm in the coming years? Are punters going to have a lot more value? Are you going to only have to have one person that kicks the ball on your roster? Are you going to be able to free up 53 men? That's hard for teams to decide who's going to be their 53 guys. If you cut off one, you got a spot for somebody else that might be a little bit more valuable.
So I think that's a very good point, and I've actually suggested it before myself. I think there's a couple different ways to analyze it and to look at it. I think that I'm not entirely sure if the NFL has a specific rule where you need to have a labeled kicker and a labeled punter on your roster. But if there is no rule for that, I think that could absolutely become a norm in this league, because the NFL is a copycat league. You watch what's going on, you figure out, how can I implement these strategies onto my team? How can I implement these cost-saving strategies in the front office? And it very much becomes a thing very quickly. So from that perspective, if you can get away with only having one kicker on your roster, and it would be a dual role, and it's cost effective and play effective, I think you start to see that take like wildfire in the NFL, because you could always use an extra receiver on the roster. You could always use an extra edge rusher, etc., or even an extra quarterback for some teams.
Well, especially with injuries too. I'm not sure the number, but you only have a certain amount of players you can put on IR. So if you put them on IR, it takes away a spot from your 53. But if they're injured, say 4 or 5 weeks, and you can't put them on IR, then you're at the point of, well, then I just have to sit there and have somebody wasted, one of my 53 men, for 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Maybe that's something that needs to change.
I think so. I think you absolutely. And just for the competition aspect for what I'm looking at, I think if you change those rules, you're getting more people involved in the game. You're getting, maybe not necessarily the best players, but you're giving new players a shot at, proving themselves in the league. So I think the whole, injured reserve and pup list, how they do that and how they organize the rosters, I think that should change if you're looking for improvements in your competition. I think that's the best strategy for that.
Well, Kenny, I appreciate you hopping on. If the guys want to hop on for the little last bit of the show, we can also do that if y'all want to.
You're
Hey, thanks for flicking me off, buddy.
That's all.
Appreciate that.
I didn't know if y'all were hopping
Appreciate
on and
that
I was gonna
one.
bring y'all on. Is there anything y'all would like to say? I always give Nate the opportunity to kind of end off the show. Is there anything y'all would like to say before we end a brand new TDT format?
That's a good question.
I dig Size Hat. I absolutely hate the team, but I
Me
dig the
too.
hat.
I do like
I'll,
that.
I'll give him that.
It's got the little patch on the side, like.
Yeah.
It's
Is
nice.
that
I
like
it.
a throwback hat, an alternate
Yeah.
hat?
It's a throwback.
Okay.
I don't think they ever wore it on the field, but
No.
I think that patch was for the I'm forgetting what the name of the stadium was now. But yeah, it was for the old stadium before they moved to Enron Field.
Something like that. Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know ball like that, so that's why I have you.
It's the Astrodome is what it was, but yeah. It's an old stadium, the old logo. They never really wore that logo on the caps though.
Well,
That's
anything else before we end it off?
No, I think I've said my piece.
Okay, well, it's past 8:00. I know y'all got families and stuff to go to. I don't really know y'all's personal lives, but you know,
The jerseys to worry about.
I gotta finish putting my room together. I just built a new bed.
Yeah, Tanner mentioned that. He said he wanted to spend the night because it looks like you have a bunk bed now.
Sorry,
like
Tanner.
A loft bed?
It's a loft bed.
Nice.
There's a whole desk. It's hard to see, but my TV's.
I see the
desk
TV
portion on
Place
the.
for all the activities.
Yeah, exactly. My
place
PS5
for all
in
the-
there, all that kind of good stuff. So
Yes, bro. I like you, Picasso.
Well, as we cover new rules, new news, this is a brand new TDT episode. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. I appreciate y'all from hopping on, doing Coach Bruce a favor. Maybe he can do a little bit of a wise man and give me a favor in the future. But until we wait on that,
I like
future
that.
favor, I'm going to do a favor for you guys and play the greatest insurance commercial in all of podcast history. Hey guys.
Yeah.
Meow, meow.